right, welcome back. We are in the Between Darkened Mirrors, episode 7. Wow. Okay, great. So we will be missing Victor's player tonight. Had stuff to do IRL, which is totally fine. And we are going to march along without him. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully nobody's got to beat up anything tonight. But I mean, if our remaining players, those that were here last time, could do like a very short recap of what they remember from last session to help catch Lord Campbell-Hughes up, then we will just address one mechanical thing and then get started. All right. So what does Whitmore or Doc remember from last time?
Trying to think where to start. We beat the Shoreville, the Shoreditch Slugger. There were some steps between having not beaten him and having beaten him. It involved a lot of stuff between Doc kind of getting a little bit more in touch with whatever weird thing that quickening move involves with him. And then our man Whitmore went and fetched, after we found out the source of the Shoreditch Slugger's power, went and fetched his paramour and kind of embarrassed him in front of her in the middle of bout club, and that kind of like broke his spirit and I guess put extra weight on their love in such a way that his mythical power was severely diminished. And I was able to shame him in a fight, and then his paramour ran up on stage and kind of got the vibe that the Shoreditch Slugger was done. And I think we left it at that. Doc did not take it any further. I guess he expressed a bit of mercy in that.
That was the night phase. Last session in the day phase, both Whitmore and Victor used some of the accumulated threat moves to shore us up, no pun intended, on clues for the Shoreditch Slugger and the King in Shadows. And then during the night, while Whitmore assisted in tracking down the lover and bringing her to Bout Club, Victor went to the seance and didn't hit anything.
Just to address a mechanical thing from last time, Lord Campbell-Hughes has picked out a reward from the Shoreditch Slugger, and I believe it was the bottle of Dr. Rogan's botanical elixir for men. All right, go ahead and add that to your personal quarters, and that is considered resolved. Let me go ahead. All right, so now we have King in Shadows still out there. And remember that what I said, there is a time limit on King in Shadows. You have 4 night phases to solve it, to resolve it in whatever way you can. Otherwise, the occluded king's influence seeps through London without being checked. So we have just downed the second night phase, and so you have 2 more before the occluded king starts to exert influence. All right, or even more so than he already is. Okay, and then you have, I believe, 6 clues on that. As a matter of fact, yep, 6 clues, and the question remaining on the board for King in Shadows is, what roles are you intended to perform in the play? Complexity 6, resolve the threat by playing out this role during the play's next performance, ending in the tragic fall of the occluded king, or by breaking out of this role and ruining the production itself, thereby returning order to London. All right. So you may choose to answer a question for that or gather more clues in the day phase, whichever you choose. St. Petersburg Mirror, still kind of new. And again, as was said, Victor had gone over to take part in a seance, and that kind of went weirdly. There's several questions on the board for St. Petersburg. Let's see, you can decide to resolve the threat by finding out what trickery and deceit Madame Sorokin deploys in order to dupe those who come to her parlor. You can choose to answer the question of who is truly behind the blackmailing ring and how are they using Madame Sorokin as a pawn in their game. Or you could also try to resolve by saying, how do you know that not only is Madame Sorokin a true psychic, but currently is only using a small portion of her potential? Given time, what could she achieve? Those first two questions are complexity 4. This last one is a complexity 6. All right. So you have a choice of how you want to resolve this threat. And then the side question, I don't really know how to explain like what this question is not contingent upon the other 3, which is the St. Petersburg mirror genuine? So if the mirror is genuine, it is available as a reward if you are able to secure it. Okay. And that's complexity 2. Right now, you only have one clue on the board for St. Petersburg. And this morning, on your doorstep, Jenny Johnston, the proprietor of an opium den in Limehouse, tells you a story that has not yet reached Scotland Yard or the papers. 3 people have been found dead. In recent days, the bodies completely ensanguinated. The first was a prostitute called Soft Jimmy, found in a dark corner of the opium den. The second was a young mother, Charla Bell, found in an alleyway behind the Limehouse school. And the third was a Chinese sailor, Zhao Donghai, who was found outside the pub near Regent's Canal Dock called the Dog and Whistle. Jenny, who's an informal community leader in Limehouse, has been trying to keep the bodies in her basement. She's hesitant to go to the authorities because she fears it will cause trouble for the small but thriving Chinese immigrant community in the district. All right. Since I believe we have under safety, racism is out for as a line, then we won't bring that into the discussion for this thread, but that is a concern. She heard that Hargrave House has experience with matters such as this and has asked for your help. So I believe the highest reason is like tied with Whitmore or Lord Campbell-Hughes. I'll let one of you decide to answer this. Hargrave House knows about creatures that drink the blood of their victims. They're called vampires. A detail in Jenny's story convinces you that this particular vampire has the body of a small child. What is it? Whoever wants to answer first.
If it's okay, I would say that that all the bite marks are small and like on the wrist, and a lot of the vampires that we've or the Hargrave House has fought in the past have been the classic neck biters, and so the size of the bites and then the location of the bites makes us think that it's a small vampire.
Now,
A child form or just small?
The vampire is physically a child, but that doesn't mean it's young. Vampires never physically age beyond how old they were when they were turned. And an old vampire has to be handled in a very different way than an old one. Than a young one, excuse me. So the first question you have to answer before anything else is, all right, is the vampire young or old? This one is a complexity 4, okay? So you would just need to gather enough clues to be able to answer that question before you can move on to the next one. All right, so you have to answer, is the vampire young or old? Which unlocks the next appropriate question. All right, complexity 4. So with all that, King in Shadows, St. Petersburg Mirror, and now the Limehouse Lurker. So new threat was presented, regular scenes commence. So could be vulnerable moves, could be, touring around London for something, or doing information moves wherever you decide to go.
Okay. I think that Doc is kind of like a runner's high is what he's experiencing from having like beaten the guy and stopped the thing. And he does remember in the back of his head, he did promise to shoot him dead, and he didn't do that. And so I think there's like layers to what's happening here. Mechanically, I think I'm trying to use Cruel as the Harlot's Curse to go
Okay.
off and indulge my vice alone.
Okay.
And that's kind of Doc lying to himself, saying like, I'm going to run down to the pub that I named, which I've forgotten. I'm sure it's under the London tab. I was pretty happy with the name of it. Yeah, the hair chasing hounds.
Oh my gosh.
That's his home bar. So he's like kind of lying to himself when he says, I'm going to go down there and start tracking down this gentleman that I promised this death to try to patch things up. But he's really half-hearted about it because he's more going there to exercise both his great excitement, and I'm sure people are going to like seek him out, right? Like it's a big deal. I'm sure word maybe is starting to spread. And also beneath that emotion is kind of a inner turmoil over whether or not he did the right thing, and kind of ruminating on the like great shame, the moment of great shame, and like everything about that and what that might mean for the person behind the slugger.
Okay. Well, I mean, like, even though I said it last time, it's like, no, I don't think it counts for doing it because of the dark and seedy
Oh, yeah.
underbelly. No. I mean, I
Oh.
remanded myself because I watched it over again, and I'm thinking, you know what? You have dark and seedy underbellies no matter what damn time of the phase it is.
Right.
So I will run with it if you are going into the deep dark belly of London. So I don't know if I count like, that particular bar being like, particularly like, like dark and seedy, but I mean, I guess
It can be the starting point for like
if
a
you want to
bar
use it,
crawl.
sure. If you want God. Oh, Doc.
It's like the moment when you're like about to leave, it's already late, you haven't quite closed down the bar, and someone's like, oh wait, you should go close down this bar that is way out in the middle of like a weird part of town. Come with me. I close it down all the time. You're like, oh wow, I'd never go there, but I'm having a good night. But this is, instead of happening at like 2 a.m, is happening at like 10 a.m.
Right. Oh my gosh. All right, so we'll start there with you, like if that's what you want to do. What are you investigating anything in particular? You're just doing the Shoreditch Slugger like for your own head resolve first, right?
Yeah, if I was going to be asked, because I think that this is,
Promise of a gun is still on your
right.
your
And
commission.
to be clear though, you mentioned last time having to do like specifically to deal with that, right? I can't just do a move, which I stand by, and I'm not actually positioning myself to be able to remove that. I think that, like, again, Doc is kind of lying to himself when he says, oh, I'm going to go, make sure that everything's cool. And then he ends up dealing with stuff that is personal and selfish, I guess, in this scenario.
Well, I mean, again, mechanically, it's like, the reason for the vulnerable move is to help remove conditions. So if you want to engage with another hunter to be able to remove that, you totally can.
Okay, noted.
Yeah.
I'm
if you
still
want to talk to people, it's like, let's talk about this, or let's involve one of our vices to try to remove like a condition, it's like,
okay.
So just a thought. I mean, like,
noted.
hell, if you want to invite one of your pals to go drinking with you, you have your coffin varnish and they have whatever the hell they have.
True.
That sort of thing. That could be hilarious. I'm just saying.
That could be very fun. I think in this instance, I want to stick solo so I can pull off as cruel as the Harlot's Curse.
Okay. Oh, and then for cruel as a Harlot's Curse, like involves like information as well, right?
Yeah. So on a hit, it's clear condition, but again, we've already discussed having to specifically do something related to that condition to clear it. So I'm fine if that doesn't hit. I guess I'd be trying to gun for on a 10. Oh, sorry, on a hit clear condition and choose one from a list, which is, befriending a side character.
You can, I think, like depending on like, how you do it. I mean, we can call it clear condition, and then you choose from the list below.
Okay. And then one of the options I'm keeping a hard eye on though is stumble upon a clue.
Sure.
Which I imagine would be less akin to the questions that a Doc is actually asking, and more like, what trouble does he literally stumble into?
Yeah, you would just tell me what the clue is.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, and you would pick the threat that has to involve. So not a big deal. Okay. All right. So Lord Campbell-Hughes, what are you doing?
I think after hearing this story about the from Jenny about the Limehouse lurker, I think I'm gonna write a letter to Rear Admiral Alfred Bingley Green
Mhm.
to deliver at dusk to Hargrave House anti-vampire weapons. And so that's a dust move that gives us like we get to choose from a list or come up with our own like
Yeah.
vampire weapons. So
Sure.
I wrote that letter straight off. But then for the King in the Shadows, did all the locations get like scouted out?
Let me look. And then in the meantime, did you already uncheck a box on your?
For the Shoreditch Slugger, I did. Yeah,
Okay, great. Just want to make sure that that was done. Okay.
I'm gonna recheck it for the armory.
I was gonna say, yeah. Okay. You did the night tap, but the night tap is only accessible at night. Whitmore did Bethlehem Royal Hospital. Yay. Said Streets of London, so it could be anywhere. And then like the new venue is Hargrave House. I'm sorry, that's just tickle me pink. And then there is one more location that I don't think anybody's checked out yet, which is the previous location of the play, which was Ranelagh Chapel.
And that's I'll go check that out because we have 6 clues, but I like to pad it just in case we can't use them all or
Sure.
bonus. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, great. All right. And Whitmore, where are you going?
I think that Whitmore would pack up a small trunk of medical supplies and cautionary equipment from Hargrave House's medical supplies and head over to Jenny Johnston's basement to do his best attempt at an autopsy of these bodies.
Okay.
Which is probably going to involve nothing more than looking at them and saying, yes, that's a dead body.
Oh, Whitmore. I'm putting autopsy in quotes. Okay, so if nothing else is needing to be done at the moment, let's go ahead and start with Doc. All right, so your your jumping off point, excuse me, is the hair chasing hounds pub, bar, hole in the wall, whatever you want to call it. Would you say Elway is there? I mean, like, is Elway always there?
Yes, I think
Okay.
definitively and unerringly, Elway is always there.
Okay.
Sometimes it
Because-
looks like he's asleep though, like
Mm,
but he's always sitting like at the same spot roughly.
I think you see him like sitting meditatively at the keys of the piano. His eyes are closed. His fingers are like resting lightly on the keys. And it's almost like he's thinking about what to play, but he's been there so long in that position. You're questioning if he is asleep or such. So
Mhm. Yeah, I think Doc like slides in next to him on his seat at the piano and like claps him on the other shoulder and is like, Elway, you look sleepy, man. It's early in the day. Why are you sleeping?
why are you so loud?
Well, I've got to, clean out the pipes early in the day so that I can be understood as I speak well into the evening.
And this is where he reaches into the piano and then like pulls out like an unlabeled bottle and kind of like slides it. your
All
way.
right, I'll leave you alone if you want to go to bed. Because it looks like Elway like was actually like, get away from me. I want to go back to sleep. Elway was grabbing.
Yeah, he's kind of like he kind of does the thing of like sliding it over to you, and he
Yep.
kind of like goes back to his meditation, but then he's like looking like he's tipping over.
Yeah, without missing a beat, Doc like
Yeah.
in mid speech cuts himself off and is like, okay, see you, bye.
Oh my god. I don't know what form you take when like when you get close, but I'll tell you something. It's like my nickname for you was going to be Doug. So
Doug.
yeah, I'm just going to like establish different scenes and such like that, and then
Totally.
let's go to Lord Campbell-Hughes. You write your letter, and then you head over to Ranelagh.
Yeah, is it a chapel?
Yeah, chapel. Yep. So it's under renovations. There's paint cans and scaffolding all around. There's the outside din of the passerby. And its basement, where the play had been held last, is very dimly lit and contains only a shoddy wooden stage and a canvas backdrop. It's like as I think Victor must have described to you what he saw that first night at Hargrave House, that they will bring this production anywhere that they have the room for it, and they just make of it what they will. You, from the scope of it, from what he told you, and then from you wandering out, and then in, you're just not even sure like how they were able to pull this off in this renovated chapel, or not even completely renovated chapel. So paint the scene for everyone. This place has been touched by madness, but some elements of it almost seem too mundane. What are they?
There is a simple box of carpenter's tools sitting near the front entrance. It's been perched on a hastily assembled table with a warm mug of tea next to it, despite the fact that no one's been here for carpentry for ages. It's just a simple, still warm mug of tea.
I'm gonna say the colors of paint in the paint cans, they're all like, eggshell, their colors are all muted and industrial strength grays and different shades of white. There's no spectrum of the rainbow that you might think would be associated with this theater play.
The first thing that jumped to mind was like one of those paintings. I probably wouldn't be period appropriate, but I know we're not selling ourselves to that, where it's like it's just a shade of color on the entire canvas from edge to edge. I'm thinking of a short play my friend gave me once. His name I can't remember. Something simple like The Art, and it's this painting that's just a kind of off-white canvas that's painted off-white from edge to edge. And it has that bit where people will go up to it and like everyone sees different things in it, kind of like a magic eye painting. Except with this one, it is, I can't decide if I want it to be like the things in it almost kind of remind you of your personal greatest fears, or if it's just there's the barest hint of shapes in like a slightly different color of white that in most lights it's impossible to tell. It still looks like that one solid color, but every now and again, especially like when it's dusk or early in the morning as it's dawn, you can see that there are some shapes in there, and if you get too close, they just keep getting deeper within themselves. They're completely like, they're fractals, right? So they keep repeating themselves down lower and lower, and if you're able to see the shapes, you can then also see the fractals to like a far greater depth than the human eye should be, and it's a very unnerving experience.
You find yourself in there, Lord Campbell-Hughes. Boy, howdy. And Whitmore. Yeah, you've put together a kit and you're heading over to Limehouse. And Limehouse is a, excuse me, is a district that has working class and maybe also folks that earn their keep by other means. And it's mainly by the, by a set of docks. So there's like sailors, of course, that will come into port, and they have the Dog and Whistle, which is catering to them. And then there's the Limehouse School, which is a workhouse essentially for the poor children. And then Jenny Johnston's Opium Den. Okay. And the dock is called, excuse me, Regent's Canal. So you can also probably find out stuff about the sailor Zhao Donghai if you wanted to. So it's just a matter of deciding, like, you want to go to the Opium Den?
I think the Opium Den is the place to go.
So dim and smoky. There's a heavy ammonia-like smell here. And there are people lounging on cushions. Here's another paint the scene. People from all walks of life patronize Jenny Johnston's. What do you see that indicates this? People from all walks of life. And this is a paint the scene for everybody.
would imagine that there's a coat rack or several near the entrance, and there's all manner of coats and cloaks here, from tattered, hole-ridden, moth-eaten things that wouldn't protect you from a weak breeze, to someone's fur coat, but a truly proper mink fur coat, and all manner of cloaks line these walls.
And as Whitmore is walking through, he can hear, different dialects from different parts of London, and some of them, international. So he's hearing like street gutter talk, and he's hearing posh talk, and he's hearing sailor accents from abroad as he comes into the opium den.
I have a clarifying question I need help with from Daniel. Would it be likely that a member of the Royal Explorers Club would have like an embroidered pocket watch to that effect, like an REC engraved watch?
Sure.
Okay. Then behind the bar, there's like all manner of like I'm assuming there's like a bar area. I know it's not a bar, it's an opium den, but there's all manner of curios like nailed to the wall or hung up. And right next to each other near the center, there is both more like delicately hanged at the end of its chain completely, an engraved pocket watch with the REC's monogram on it. And then right next to that is like a stack of counterfeit bills, like poorly counterfeited bills that, like, upon seeing it, it's impossible not to immediately imagine that the person trying to pass them off must have been tossed out into the alley, and they're literally just nailed to the wall in a big stack.
Well, yikes. All right, great. So now we go backwards. So Whitmore, you are here in Jenny Johnston's opium den, and she comes out to greet you. And she's a soothing disposition. She is pretty but faded, and she's wearing a dark taffeta gown. And she is the owner and proprietor of this place. And she considers herself the unofficial leader of the immigrant community here in Limehouse. And she's thanking you. It's like, thank you very much for coming by. I didn't know where else to turn. I can only hope that Hargrave House can help us with this particular problem.
We will certainly do our best. Even now, my senior, Lord James Campbell-Hughes, is requisitioning a supply of useful tools against this threat of what sounds to be vampires.
Ooh, well, I don't have any previous experience with such things. I mean, do you think you can route it out? I mean, just to rid us of such a creature.
I am certainly confident that the members of Hargrave House will be able to assist you and the community in dealing with these otherworldly beings.
Well, the bodies that we have are currently in my basement. My nephews can take you down there. Just let them know if you need anything.
Absolutely.
And she will show you further along into the opium den. And this place has different setups where people are sharing pipes or just kind of like sleeping it off and such and so forth. So there could be cushions on the floor. There could be like makeshift beds or cots and such. But there is someone in this drab, smoky area that kind of stands out as you're heading down towards the basement steps. This is someone who is wearing, I mean, again, from all walks of life, for definite sure. However, I don't think anybody else is as flamboyantly dressed as this person. You spot the gold smoking jacket first, because it is the brightest of what they are wearing. Yellow silk pants, soft slippers on the feet. And then you just see it from behind at first. And it looks like it's one of those helmets that goes all the way around. You see the back of this helmet. And then from the sides around, like as a I don't know, corona on this helmet is what look like sun rays. And this person is seated on a cushion, contentedly smoking on a pipe as they blow silky smoke into the air. And that is who you pass as you head down to the basement. Lord Campbell-Hughes, you are here in Brainley Chapel, seeing these things, the strange picture, the paint cans, as well as carpenter tools. What are you specifically doing here?
I'm looking to, if and there's nobody working, it's just all this stuff out to be worked on.
Yeah, I mean, what time of day would you say that you're here?
I don't know, like 9 or 10 in the morning.
Yeah. I mean, there might be some workers like are going out and about. The renovations are not only happening here, like in the basement, but also up top as well. So
I imagine I came in through the top and I'm just looking for someone to ask about when the show was here. And if I see somebody working, I can say, is there, where's the owner, or if this is a working chapel, the priest.
yeah, there is a manager. One of the workmen like indicates to you like where she is. Cherubic face. She's like short, wavy, brown hair. Excuse me. Very modestly dressed, like in shades of brown and pale beige. She is, from her expression on her face and how she's talking with the workers, you can sort of tell that she is, at the very least, an actress, or at least she was one. And she is currently overseeing the renovations of the chapel itself. As you come up and you start hearing her, indicate, it's like, well, we need to make sure that that's patched up right over there, and then this bit over here just needs to make sure that that needs to be taken care of. Yeah. And then she sees you coming up. How are you dressed, by the way, this morning?
Waistcoat, ascot, top hat, long tails. Probably has a carnation or something.
Oh my, what a tough. And she trying to like gives you a very measured look as you make your way to her, as she's still talking to the workmen and making directions, and she will clasp her hands together and wait until you come up to her. Well, you don't see such fine gentlemen coming here during a renovation period. How may I help you?
Madam, we have something in common, you and I. Both of us have hosted the theater play King in Shadows.
Oh yes, goodness, that was an interesting artistic endeavor, wasn't it?
Very avant-garde, if I do say so myself.
Quite strange and melancholy, I suppose. I mean,
the production crew, I don't know if you had any problems with this, but the production crew left quite a bit of their materials in Belgrave Square, where they did their
did they do a private showing? Belgrave Square, I mean, is all
Oh yeah.
private
It was
homes.
it was open to the public.
Oh
but
my.
they've left a lot of their things, and I'm wanting to like move it along. So do you have like an address, or do you know, what can you tell me about the folks who put on this very strange play?
I mean, she will agree with you for sure, but I need you to roll an information move with reason, please.
All right, I rolled snake eyes.
Oh,
But when I was, what's funny is when I was like floundering around, like rolling dice by accident, they're all ones and twos. So it's fully loaded with ones and twos.
mm-hmm.
I will definitely be marking them out.
Interesting.
We can go ahead and
Yes,
see what
I,
happens.
I was going to say yes. I mean, I'm going to say, God, I'm just gonna. I mean, if I was going to say the worst of it or whatever, I mean, like, one, you don't come away with a clue, but you definitely come away with like being enveloped in darkness as the hall of the chapel, like, starts to get that whole like dolly zoom look, and then like, it's just like it stretches on for what looks like miles, like, as you're talking to her, and then she's just looking at you strangely like, what's wrong with you?
I'm hearing the whispers, King of Shadows.
Yes,
Shadows,
you
King of
are. You are hearing the shadows and
Yeah.
applause, and some people like starting to titter and laugh as you looked confused. He doesn't know his lines. He's a bit stuck, isn't he? But yeah. So if you're taking a mask,
I'm definitely gonna take my, yeah.
fabulous. Oh, and then also just don't forget, we do still have on the table, we still have the threat mask for the King in Shadows, which is called the Mask of Dissociation. Okay. No one has taken that yet. You can totally wait until like you really need to, because everybody's got to do it once somebody picks it. Okay. To bump up their die roll. All right. So are you taking a Mask of the Past, or you want to do Mask of Dissociation?
Yeah, I'm gonna do Mask of Pass and save that for the night phase when we
Yeah.
actually deal with this. But,
Got it. Okay. So 7 to 9. 7 to 9. You get a complication on it, either with the clue itself or complication you encounter while searching. All right. So let's see. As you're talking with her and commiserating with her about like, the weirdness of having the play and then having it leave or get set up, whatever, you notice that the shadows lengthen around you. She keeps talking like she doesn't notice it, but you notice it. Shadows lengthen and point in a particular direction, regardless of, again, this is a chapel under renovation, so they still have their high windows and such. And the light is streaming in. It's what, 10 a.m. in the morning, brunch time. The shadows don't care. You can move all you want, but the shadows are just stretching into the hallway beyond, and then it looks like they're doing like a pointing motion towards a particular hall door or something, but you have to go further down to do so. And she's telling you about just how strange the whole thing is. I mean, it's quite, I mean, sometimes art is more woeful than life. The whole second act was just two people rowing an imaginary boat. I mean, were they doing pantomime? I mean, it was just imaginary oars, just down an imaginary river. I mean, and wailing by the chorus. I mean, I didn't know what to make of it. I almost had to stop up my ears. I mean, Hamlet, it is not. No.
no, I found the animal mask quite disconcerting
Yes.
and distasteful.
Why distasteful?
The way that their faces kept moving. It was like puppets, I guess.
Are you sure you're all right? They didn't.
Oh yes,
move.
quite sure. I think some of the puppet heads were still around, but anyways, what's this way? I point to where the shadows are pointing. What's this way in your lovely chapel here that's being renovated?
Oh, As far as I understand it, it's offices and living quarters for those that use the chapel for services. I don't particularly live here myself. I'm just managing the renovations to make sure that it will be ready in time for our spring productions.
Well, I hope you break your leg, as they say in the theater world.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And then her voice changes and she says, "You two, you have a very tough role to play. So make sure you do a good job out there, yeah?"
That's the plan.
And then she like goes back to just looking at you and wishing you luck. And she'll continue on directing the workers. All right. So Doc, all right. So you have found yourself, pardon, clue. Let me add that one before I get on to you, Doc. I'm sorry. I just got to add this clue before I forget. Crap. Because I don't think, yeah, that was not put in there before. So, okay. Now, for Doc, what are you looking for exactly? Like, as you wander the streets of London, are you just kind of letting your excitement, your energy from the night before, like try to like wear itself out? I mean, are you trying to wear it out by just being active and letting your feet carry you? Is that what you're doing?
I think when the thought occurs to Doc, like, man, what am I doing out here going wild at this time of day? We have things happening, you know. I think when Doc thinks that question to himself, the answer is like, well, I got to run out some of this juice. I'll be no good to anyone if I don't run out some of this energy that I got from last night. I think a bit closer to the vest, he's maybe looking for absolution. He wants to like, not vent just seems so anachronistic with this. It feels like the wrong word, but vent the bottled up conflict that he has about the event. I think he's thinking a lot about the nature of violence and like, is it the same thing to crush someone's social standing or sense of self in the way that he just did? Is that the same thing as physically hurting someone very badly? Yeah. And then on a tinier level, I think that he is also looking for all of his best clues come from stuff like this, where he's not out to go, he like doing actual investigation, doesn't net Doc the most interesting clues that he gets. It's always like when he's out doing something else, he stumbles into trouble, and that gives the break that they need. So,
Question for you and for everybody else as well, but you specifically first. As you walk the streets, what do you see that shows people trying to hide their true selves to better fit in? I want Doc to answer first, and then you two pipe in.
we want like one succinct thing.
Yeah.
Just like, okay.
Yeah.
Hiding their true selves.
To better fit in.
To better fit in. All right. I don't know. The heartwarming image came out to me, which isn't normally how we go, but I think it's mired in the right framing here. So there are ruffians, right? Like there's a whole trade essentially associated with ruffians in this area of the world at this time, right? That all they do is small odd jobs, or being handed bits of change from passersby who are sympathetic to how like sad, dirty, and hungry these small children wandering the street look. And I think we see one of those ruffians posted up and asking for spare change, and he's given it. He's in a gaggle of them too. I think there's like a group of ruffians all holding out like a hat, a tiny tin cup, a little shoe, and somebody, and I don't know what kind of cruelty would motivate this, or if it's just a mistake, but they try to toss in some very small amount of change, and instead of landing in anyone's container, it like scrambled into the mud, or rather it's scattered into the mud, and what follows is like this really intense scrap amongst the ruffians. And one of the children ends up with the money, and remind me, is this something Doc sees, or is this like the camera sees?
It could be either.
Okay, I like the camera thing because I had this whole thing popping in my head, and Doc would not have seen this because then later the child like takes that money and uses it to buy like probably a small bit of bread, and then away from his friends, the other group he was in, who probably like are giving him some crap for getting the money in the scramble. I don't know. Maybe some of them are actually mean and are trying to take it from him, but he manages to get the bread and he manages to get away from them for a little bit of alone time. And he like goes to a particular alley and like rolls back a little trash can lid or something from underneath the space of like one house. It's crawl space. And there's like a little cat with kittens there. And he like feeds the mother cat the bread, a good portion of it, because she's got kittens, like more of it than he's going to get.
Doc, a ray of light in this very dark place.
It is very dark. I hope I brought that out enough. Didn't want this to be just like, oh, well, people are really nice. I want it to be like this kid's having to really throw elbows and be mean and be also like a bit of a liar, kind of. It's not that he's lying when he's asking for the money, but it's, it's very complex and very pointed and on purpose. And then, he's still a kid who wants to feed a cat that has kittens. It's the most kid-friendly thing in the world.
Now, Lord Campbell-Hughes or Whitmore, as you walk the streets, what do you see that shows people trying to hide their true selves to better fit in? And this would be the camera view, for you.
I'm going to say that wherever there are people waiting together, either for carriages or for shops to open or to purchase things, that they unfold a copy of the London Gazette and they're just reading their paper to just, one, avoid eye contact with others, and two, look like they're busy so people don't bother them.
Took mine with the newspapers. You would see a hustle and bustle of people going up and down the streets. And as the camera stays there, focused on just a man in his storefront cleaning the windows, it would start to become very obvious that the same 2 or 3 people are just continuously walking back and forth past the camera, almost as if they don't know where they're going, but don't want to ask anyone. And you see these couple people with their standout clothing, maybe a brightly colored hat, a nice umbrella, a flashy piece of jewelry, but they just keep walking back and forth, refusing to ask anyone for directions. Until finally the shopkeeper notices and steps out. And all 3 people, as it turns out, were looking for the very storefront our camera's been locked on. But all 3 were too afraid to ask for help.
Damn. Okay. Oh my God. I think you're letting your feet do the wandering, Doc. I think that you start noticing that these storefronts start to look all the same. And you see the same design. I mean, it's not even like an architectural thing. I mean, like it's the exact same shop or set of shops, or maybe like a corner door that, is specific, that it's red and it has like a kind of door knocker, that's unique to it. And no matter where you turn, no matter how many turns you make, you find yourself in this maze of the same alleyway or, walkway on the streets of London. What do you do?
I feel like this would probably remind Doc of very recently when he was trying to visit the next bout club location and got to that theater. And there was a weird moment on his way in, I think, where like everything kind of shifted. I think it was some of the effects, like an eclipse was happening. So I think that's where Doc's mind goes. That doesn't really help him. And so I think he latches onto the first idea of like what must be happening. He goes, okay, well, I must be stuck in a maze of some kind. So I was kind of trapped in that theater, I guess. So maybe I'm in a maze and I need to like go the right way. Maybe going the right way will get me out of here. That makes sense.
If you want to use information move in this case, you know, you can try to parlay it with sensitivities as you are working off these extra energies. I mean, they say it wears off like in dawn phase, but I mean, like, to be honest, it's like, you know, like I can get the idea that you're physically trying to work it off. So, you know, if you want to parlay vitality, or you want to parlay sensitivity, whatever you want.
Oh, gotcha. Well, I don't have an advantage on anything sensitivity, but that was kind of that's the thing that makes most sense, that he does something a bit mystical. Most of his stuff related to that is just kind of letting the wind take him. And I want something more concrete here. For some reason, I keep coming back to him breaking one of the windows. He's literally stuck in a loop of the same buildings, right? Like the actual same buildings over and over.
Sure.
So I think he would go up to one of the windows and like discreetly elbow it, and he's gonna look where the glass is pointing, depending on where the glass is pointing. He's gonna use it like a compass. So like if it just points straight into the shop, then he's gonna like try to take a right, or go into the shop itself, whatever seems more apparent. But like if he ends up pulling some glass back out with him and it scatters that way, he can go that way.
I'm gonna say again, this is like information move with sensitivity.
Okay.
You're going with intuition.
Oopsie, that's a 2 and a 1, so a total of 5.
Wow.
Which isn't good.
What is going on? I mean, I swear to God, you guys.
Just desserts. These are the just desserts. We really whipped out some amazing rolls, and I think the rollers.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, I'm gonna say, you know, start dragging out your physical dice and start warming them up, boys, because it's like, wow, this is like a big wow.
I'm okay to ride with it. I know right off the bat,
okay.
I want to use a mask for sure. I have a mask. I haven't used any of my masks in the past.
Sure. Yeah. We want to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So bumping it up to 7 to 9. Thank goodness. Cause I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. How do you think of the worst thing again? You just did that.
Yeah. No, I'm not even gonna, because I don't want to.
I'll make a note that I need to get ready for this thing.
Okay. So I think as you break into this shop, I mean, like, or at least you break the window, I think you notice, just make sure that it is not in this list. I think you do notice that there's on the far wall, because it's like you let the light in of you know, when you look up, you let the light in, and then you see on the opposite wall that there is a costume crown. Can't be real. I mean, that's ridiculous. There's a costume crown, like supported on a hook on the wall, that looks like it is dripping with blood and black ichor. That is your clue. Let me plug it in there. Did you roll, just out of curiosity, did you roll on Cruel as a Harlot's Curse?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Should I do that now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and just like, you know, just roll for it, and then I will give you that result when we come back to you.
Roll it. That's an 8.
Okay. All right, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
All right. So back to Whitmore. You know, you've passed this person. So do you want to?
I think Whitmore would hand his bag to one of the nephews.
Okay. And
turn to talk to the man. Or the person in this helmet.
Yes. I think as you near, you do realize that it is, well, male. I mean, the fingers have like kind of that longer, more muscular solidity to them. Same with the legs and the, you know, the limbs. When you look into the front of helmet thing. You realize it's a mask. All that is that appears is a shiny face to you, and it is not covering a mouth, but I mean, it is covering his face and eyes. And again, you have that corona of sun rays like covering it. And he looks up at you. Ah. And how are you? Are you here to partake of the poppy? Sit and join me.
Well, without affirming or denying anything, Whitmore would sit down next to the man.
He would hand you like that pipe and invite you to smoke. Pardon the mystery of this mask. Well, it would only do to hide my identity. Members of the royal family cannot be seen partaking of anything so gauche.
See. Fortunately, I promised the missus a while ago that I would not touch the poppy, Whitmore would say, handing the pipe back to the man in the mask.
But... And he kind of looks sideways at you. But you are not married. Or are you elsewhere? There are worlds beyond this one, you know. It's like our own world. It is, in fact, our world, but impossibly ancient. A world where the sun is new, and where old spirits and old gods play and make war with each other. I have seen it with all my eyes. It is magnificent and terrible and bloody and everything in between, awful and wonderful, if you can conceive of such a thing.
I can conceive of much, but would like to know what you have seen of the beings who claim to live forever, taking from their victims that which keeps them immortal.
And so I'm going to say you need to roll information move, please. How do you feel about what he just said with the, the other worlds beyond this one?
Given everything Whitmore has seen with this job, it's certainly not out of the realm of possibilities that there are parallel universes is the wrong term of phrase for this setting, but something akin to that. There are other doors that lead to alternate Londons. The King in Shadows is attempting to open a curtain on one. The Shoreditch Slugger found his door in a bottle. So I believe he is telling the truth that this man has found his other door in a pipe of poppy.
Or more than that. But anyway,
or
yes.
Much more.
Right. So give me a roll for, you know what? Take it. Do a roll with composure.
That is a 7.
All right. Doc, you got an 8 on the cruel, the harlot's curse.
I did.
All right, on a hit, clear conditions. So, I mean, like you've been musing. I mean, you've been walking and musing, and then I think you've reconciled in your own way, and you can tell me how, like in your own way about you promised, but I mean, you saved a life and you embarrassed the man, but I mean, he still has love. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Mhm.
big hulking beast of a dude, like, still has love. Does he deserve it? I mean, only the chick can tell. I mean, in
Mhm.
terms of like, your promise to Denny, if you're feeling really bad about it, I mean, you can always commiserate and tell stories, I suppose. But I mean, maybe this is your way of reconciling to yourself. It's like, can always trade stories about friends lost.
Mhm.
And then maybe that's how you clear the condition, right?
Yeah, it makes
Um,
sense.
yeah, and then so choose one on hit below from the list below.
Yeah, I'm gonna stumble upon a clue, and it's
Fantastic.
I haven't gotten to make up a lot of clues, so tell me if this doesn't work. I think it does, though.
Mhm.
Uh,
For which threat?
this is going to be for our newest threat, the lurker.
Limehouse
Yes,
Lurker. Sure.
Limehouse lurker. So on the way out of the store, because I'm assuming I go and get that like costumed crown,
Mm-hmm.
right? I pick up the
Right.
costume crown. I'm coming out, and I imagine like the building is again like up on kind of a crawl space, right?
Mhm.
So there's like a porch. I'm stepping off the porch. I notice like kind of peering out next to the stairs. It's like a little black cat. And Doc's great with animals in general. He considers himself very good with animals, especially cats. It's like a point of pride because, cats are cantankerous. Dogs are like anybody. And he goes to pet it because he's never met even the meanest cat that would really give him a proper swat. And this thing like bites into his hand. And in that moment, that itself isn't the clue, but like the overlay of different algebraic equation memes like crosses over his face, and he clicks and he realizes he hasn't seen a single alley cat out in the open in all of London during the day for a while now, for at least a couple of days. The normal alley cats you can expect to be at least out and about, at least like darting around a corner when you walk down an alleyway. None of them are out. So I think the clue, as I was going to label it,
Uh-huh.
is no cats have been going out during the day in all of London. Does that work? Is that a clue?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, go ahead and pop it into Limehouse Lurker list as the first clue for the lurker. And Lord Campbell-Hughes, before I return back to Whitmore for his 7. You head down this hallway, following the pointy shadows.
I don't think I do.
Oh,
I
okay.
just asked, I just asked her where does this go, but when she told me, I think that was it. I think I was like, okay, then, I'm leaving.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. I told her, break a leg and have a great show and all that. Yeah,
Okay. The shadows were enough for you.
I do not proceed. If she told me it was like down to the basement or something, I may have gone down, but I think this is my second or third clue with shadows, and so I'm just gonna take it as like some kind of remnant of the King and Shadow production and leave.
Okay. No problem. All right. So where do you head out from here?
I think I'm on my way back to Hargrave House. I'm going to do what I've been doing ever since I saw the woman with the beggars, who I'm starting to realize is Titania. And so I keep going by there and checking to see if I can see her. And I'll stop. What I think my routine is, I stop the carriage and I go to the to the folks that are begging for money, and I give them money, shilling here and a shilling there, and I ask them about the striking woman who I saw amongst them a few days ago.
And of course, like, there's the beldames and can't remember the fancy word for it, but I mean like the one that makes like they're being obsequious, but they're being sarcastic as hell when they're doing it. And it's like, oh, here, look, it's like Toff that keeps coming by and giving us charity, yeah? Hey, well, how are you today, sir? Is it feeling it when you don't see your lady friend here? You just want to hang out with us?
I grab one forcefully and slam them into the closest wall.
Oh, what's this then? Oh,
I say now, and then I inflict great pain and say, tell me what I need to know.
this crone gets a mischievous look on her face and says, "What you need to know is that you're throwing your weight around, love. This is not the way to get to Tanya's heart."
I'm not after her heart. I'm after her location.
You'll find her when she wishes to be found.
I think I probably twist her arm back a little further and then just turn and leave.
Oh, you see that? Tough roughing up those that can't really defend themselves. Oh, all hail, all hail. And yeah, but their mockery, like, continues on with you even when they're out of sight. Are you heading back to Hargrave House? Okay. Alrighty. I'm gonna say when you are headed back to Hargrave House, you encounter that long stretch of hallway again. Like you leave and you think you're heading back to Belgrave Square, and then you find that the street that you've turned upon has that stretch of alleyway that is dark and cold. And you turn around and you find yourself facing a velvet curtain again.
Except I was in a carriage.
Oh, were you in a carriage? Okay.
Yeah.
I think you still see it though. I think you still see that the street is darkened, and you hear the clip clop of the horses as you're being carried along, and then it's for some reason dark down the street that the carriage has turned. And I think you see it's in the windows of a tavern off of this street, wide windows, and you see that there are people who should be working class, like seated around a table, but instead of like the raucous you know talk or the usual, like, hearty workmen that would come in here for a little bit of refreshment during the day, you see candles lit at their trestle tables and plates for some reason, and they're dressed in nighttime finery, and they're all seating themselves around the table, and as unison, as one, they will stand and, oh, excuse me, they will sit and stay ramrod straight in their seats and basically mock being at a grand party, a grand dinner. And they, as you pass, they all turn to look at you, even the ones whose chairs were facing the back. They all turn and look at you and watch you head down the street. And Whitmore, you got a 7 for your talk or your question with the man in the sun mask. What do you know? You want to know specifically about what's been happening here? Yes?
Of course.
Before he answers you, he will look at your hands. He will contemplate your form sitting there next to him. And then he will, like, slowly look up. And then he will inhale and then blow smoke, not in your face, but kind of like up into the air. And he will say, "Look, of the worlds that I know, of the places I've seen, there are answers in the smoky fog, revealed." And what you see in the smoke picture that he's made somehow, you don't know how, you see flowers. These tendrils of smoke form into flowers, like of the pointed petals of lilies, and they're like almost bursting from the tendrils into like blooms of lilies in the air. That is your clue. A copious amount of flowers, copious amount of lilies.
Not poppies. Interesting.
Nope. Other worlds. And I'm going to say your complication is, at least at this moment, there's like a wrap, like at the front of the opium den. The man in the sun mask will just calmly, like, place down his pipe and then say to you, "Ah, there's that disturbance again, as we all try to hide into our own visions of the past and the future. In comes the present, like the obnoxious warrant that it is." And you see, like, if you look around him to the front, you
Mhm.
see it's like somebody knocking uh, a billy club against like the front counter. And it is, you may or may not have seen him before, but it is a Constable Lansing. He's an underling of, I don't know if I had introduced him yet in this particular campaign, but he's a subordinate of DI Pettigrew, from Scotland Yard. And he's always on the beat at Limehouse. And he checks in, usually at the most inopportune times. And Jenny's hurrying over to kind of, smooth down her skirts and just kind of keep him distracted. She takes a side eye to you, wondering if you're just going to, remain there, or if you're going to try to make your way down to the basement while he's still here.
I think Whitmore would know better than to draw attention to the work that we do, especially because 3 dead opium addicts or 3 dead people in an opium den is likely to hinder our case more so than help it.
Yeah.
So Whitmore will remain with the man in gold.
And he knows what you're doing, so he will aid your ruse,
Mhm.
and then make like he's handing you the pipe, and then you can pretend to smoke it. But I mean, he's just keeps looking at you and smiling, like his little smile under his half mask. So yeah, we'll go ahead and close out there for the day phase, and we'll head into dusk, right? Lord Campbell-Hughes, you were saying you were sending off a message to the Rear Admiral.
I was just copying and pasting the list of things that we have to choose from
Mm-hmm.
into the chat.
Okay.
And everybody gets one,
Okay.
even Victor. And it could be, if there's something not on this list that you wanted instead, you can get that, and you can keep it until you mark it. for an advantage, and then when you mark it for an advantage, it goes back to the rear admiral. And I think I have my eye on that wooden stake launcher. Because what's cool about a wooden stake launcher is that not only does it work on vampires, but it works on other things as well when you launch a wooden stake into them. So
Okay. So
I think I think that's what I'm going to take. I'm going to take the wooden stake launcher.
go ahead and add that to your personal quarters. So again, everybody can take like one weapon, and then it stays in your personal quarters until you mark it off for advantage, in which case then you must return it to the rear admiral after use. Okay. And you remove it from your personal quarters.
Question for, I guess, Daniel. Is this like an actual list, or did you come up with this list? I ask entirely because there's an entry that's just a fuck ton of dynamite.
That is in there.
Verbatim.
That is in there.
Not me. Yeah, this is from the mind of Jason Cordova.
Yes.
But I will
Oh,
say,
I mean, but that's something typical that Jason would say, like, fuck ton.
Let's
get it over with.
It comes up a lot though, and it comes up a lot in the. I know it's in Ghost of El Paso. It comes up.
It feels like a Lord Campbell-Hughes thing to add.
So yes, and if you don't see something that you find interesting, feel free and make it up. But within reason, you cannot have an anachronistic gun or like universal translator or whatever. So yeah, go ahead and take your pick.
I have no idea how, but an exploding pocket watch is too good to pass up.
That is very good.
It fits Whitmore.
Okay, all right.
I think Doc, like, I imagine just a big table set out with a bunch of weapons on like a large canvas rolling bag that when it's unrolled is longer than a car. He's just going over it, and like you see him like kind of flinch a little bit as he like opens up this box that he was curious about. And it's just full of silver bullets. He like closes that, put that aside, and ends up going with a big saltpeter gun, which I imagine is kind of like flare gun meets revolver, which I know is not what it actually would be, but in my head it's like the Hellboy revolver with just like big shotgun shells filled with saltpeter in it.
So everybody picked something, and then I'm going to go ahead and post that list in the chat, on the Discord chat. Give me a second. And I'll cross off the stuff that's already been picked. So, oh, goodness. Doc, please roll the quickening.
You know it.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
Oh, it's a 6.
Okay. So with this move,
Mhm.
on a miss, you're going to lose control. You either retire this character and tell the keeper to put the cursed threat in play, or reveal your curse to another hunter and ask for their help controlling you this night. If they agree, neither of you can take any action that would trigger a move during the upcoming night phase, though you should narrate scenes showing how the cursed character is being controlled throughout the night. During the dawn phase, you each mark 1 XP. This option can only be chosen once.
Mhm.
Or you can do a mask.
Yeah. Yes, I can. Yes, I will. Please.
Okay.
I intend to use, I mean, assuming I roll poorly, which, I'm sure I won't ever again, but assuming I roll poorly, I intend to use that option. It just feels like such a pre-climax moment, right? To like,
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, right now you owe me 2 masks.
Yes. Yeah. I'm ready for the first one already.
Okay. And then Lord Campbell-Hughes, you owe me 1 as well, I thought.
Yep, I'm ready to roll with that.
Okay, great. Hold on, let me just double check to see what else we have here. Okay, American Explorer, Factotum.
They work.
Yes. What is your option?
So the 2 options are either I learn something about an active threat. I ask the keeper a question. You'll answer either truthfully or incompletely, or in the form of a clue, your choice.
Yeah.
Or I find something useful in the house, give it to another hunter, and they add it to their personal quarters.
Okay.
Given that we all just got a ton of weapons, I feel that the learning something about an active threat is probably the way to go.
Okay. What do you want to learn about? Or what question do you have? And then what is it referring to?
There's definitely one more stage of the King in Shadows. This last question won't resolve it, will it? Oh no, it says resolve the threat. I can read English.
We all have
Goodness.
problems. Don't worry.
In that case, given that no one's taken a look at it this day phase,
Mhm.
for the St. Petersburg mirror,
Okay. What's your question?
how did the mirror come to London?
I think as you're searching around, and it's especially affected because we have King in Shadows in play. I think what you end up delving into during day work is you have that kind of strange after effect, after image, like, when you're coming home from Limehouse and you experience the stretching of the alleyway as you make your way home, and the darkness and the shifting of your what you thought was your way home. I mean, usually you have an unerring way of direction, but in this case, this strange shifting alleyway has screwed you up, and what you see opening up before you is almost like as if the darkness is parting like curtains, and you're watching this scene play out in front of you. There's a carriage, a dark carriage pulled by two horses, and there seems to be all sorts of goods and covered things inside, bags and boxes and such. And through the partitions of the carriage, you see that there's a very large draped object that seems to be nestled in the middle of all these things. Again, covered over by some sort of drapery. Looks like it's been covered over like and padded as well, because there's twine underneath. And yeah, you see this carriage ride with all these goods, and then they're set upon by, look like bandits, who the hell knows, but I mean, like, dark clothing, burly people. And they try and tear at the goods of this carriage. Who knows what happened to the driver? It doesn't really matter. But as they're reaching for this drapery and somebody foolishly pulls it down, then you see the reflections in the mirror, but the reflections are all distorted, as if they are all dead. Pale skin, sunken eyes, and they are all dead, looking at the mirror, at themselves, and the look of shock slowly comes across their face as light begins to grow inside the mirror behind these wan, zombie-like undead. And then the light fills your vision, and then you know nothing else until you return back to the street just before Belgrave Square. So all that to say that your clue is a glimpse into another time or place. So do with that what you will. I mean, like, I kept it as general as possible, although I gave you an eyeful. So if you want to choose to use that vision, fantastic. If you don't, that's fine too, because that clue gives you a fairly contextualizable. Yeah, I think I did that right. Contextualizable clue. All right. So that should be covered everybody's moves for dusk phase. All right. Let's do a paint the scene on Hargrave House. Okay. Let's see what looks appropriate. I think as everybody's returning home, we'll work on the reception hall. So paint the scene for everyone. Do your character, do you feel unsettled or at home when you enter Hargrave House? What do you perceive in the reception hall that reinforces this feeling? And again, please put your answers into rooms at Hargrave House if you want to be reminded of things that you could possibly call back to later on. Do you feel unsettled or at home when you enter Hargrave? And what do you perceive in the reception hall that reinforces that feeling?
I'm gonna say unsettled, especially in the reception hall, because whenever I come in, I feel like someone else is leaving, even though when I know everybody in Hargrave House is accounted for. Say we could all be coming in together, and I feel like someone has just left the room. And it's mainly in the reception hall, and I feel it in other places as well. But that's whenever I enter, it feels like someone just left the room.
We would say entering the reception hall, Whitmore would always feel at home. He would know every day that he would leave the reception hall spotless. There's the statue bearing the house's crest, well dusted, the front table where everyone's got their keys and mail piled, all nicely organized. And every day when he comes back, it's always a mess. There's muddy boot prints tracked along the carpet. Odds are someone's tried to use the crest for target practice. The mail has all been scattered as people take what's theirs. And that's how Whitmore knows that everyone's made it back safe and sound. That mess, the undoing of his hard work, and the knowledge that there is still more work yet to be done.
I think that Doc is unsettled for sure. And I don't have a good description that's not super personal. So I hope this is relatable. But I have this experience related to the idea of the Sunday scaries, which I think is a pretty common idea, right? Like the anxiety you feel later in the day on Sunday as you begin to approach work on Monday, right? And for me, because I grew up in an Argentinian and Italian and Spanish household, that's often tied to like the smell of like a big dinner being cooked, usually for like my nonna who normally cooks it, it'd be like 5 or 6. So if I smell like a big, heavy, normally like a red sauce on the air, it kind of makes me a bit anxious, right? Like even going so far back as like being a kid in school, just thinking like, oh, did I do my homework? And just totally involuntary, even after all these years. And I think it's like that for Doc. Every time he walks into Hargrave House, there is like, and it's easily mistaken for the sound, like the sound that would happen if you were to open a door out from a busy, hustling and bustling city into a larger manse, a door that wasn't on, super well oiled modern hinges, right? Like there's a lot of little noises that pop up and create a bit like a small cacophony. So it's easily mistaken for that. But to Doc's ears, every time he walks in, it's like the sounds of far off in the distance, like showing up late for something his parents wanted him at. Something personal. I'm going kind of vague with this, but like something very regressive, very childhood, like, not being at the event his parents wanted him at, not being there to like meet the family members who are coming to visit. And he always used to know that by like walking to the house, and like he would smell some certain food on the air and hear like conversation off in the far room. And that sound is mimicked every time he walks into Hargrave House, into the reception room. And every now and again, especially like late at night when he's coming back from a very long night and day, there is the smell too. And the sound is always kind of, am I mistaking something for something else? But the smell when it happens is persistent. Like he can smell that for the rest of the night in the rest of the house. He takes that to bed.
Poof. Okay. All right. So scene. So we're gonna, before we go into any Janus masks, Each player will say what their hunter will be doing during the upcoming night phase. We'll do a first pass, and then if you want to change your mind after we hear everybody out, you can do so. All right. So, Whitmore, what are you doing for night phase?
Whitmore hasn't actually seen the King in Shadows yet, as far as the play goes. I think Whitmore's curiosity would get the better of him.
Okay.
So I think he'd go see the Lord. He'd go see Lord Campbell-Hughes. Yes, no, he'd go see the King in Shadows.
Got it. Okay. All right.
But if we were to solve it, if we were to answer the question, we might be shutting that play down tonight.
Do you want to? Okay, so let me ask you this first before we get into night moves. Then, so I mean night phase. Do you want to answer the question? Before deciding. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So let's go for it. Let's go over the question. So, what roles are you intended to perform in the play? Resolve the threat by playing out the role, or ruining it by breaking out of the role. Okay, so that's a quick TLDR. Clues that you can use. A line from Lysistrata from Aristophanes: "There's no beast more stubborn than a woman, and neither fire nor leopard is more ruthless." A collection of handwritten notes regarding a fragrant void by someone called Atticus Whately. A broken bottle of rum with glistening light like a spotlight. Drawing with blocking for a scene. A note with the phrase, "I know your secret." A disheveled member of parliament asking, "Have you seen it?" Shadows lengthen and point in a particular direction, heedless of the sun's position. And a costume crown dripping with blood and black ichor. I can't wait to hear this theory. What roles?
So are we trying to, the question for the other players, are we trying to end this play with the tragic fall of the king? Or are we attempting to act out the play and twist it to our own devices?
I want to.
During the play, you play out this role, whatever roles that you decide are, what you're playing. You play out this role during the play's next performance, ending in the tragic fall of the occluded king, or by breaking out of the role and ruining the production. Your pick.
That's what I'm leaning towards. Say we say what role they want us to play, and then we don't do that.
I agree. That's my gut instinct as a player, and I think it would be what Doc would do.
Okay. Alrighty.
So we just got to figure out what our roles are.
According,
And I can throw in a mastermind clue as well.
Okay.
By saying, if I can throw in either one of them works really. I can link this madness to Titania, because one of them is that one of the clues we have so far is about a play, so that's pretty easy. But then we have to figure out which one of these clues. So I guess what role, and then try to match the clue to the role.
Yeah.
And can we have Victor? Can we have one for Victor as well?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I mean, he may be off doing something else, but I mean, like maybe he's breaking his role by not even being there
just
to
by
play
not
it.
being there.
So
like
there you
that.
go. Yeah.
So I think for him, I think that last one that
I think let's put it this way. I think the blackmail ring is keeping him busy because he was at the seance.
Makes sense.
I think the crown dripping with blood and black ichor is like is his role is like the the king of the hunters, and the black ichor is like the blood of some beast that he's killed, and so his role would be the king of the hunters. If you guys don't mind me throwing in one for
Go for it. I think that's beautiful.
So to me, this process we're trying to do is a bit more complex than the other questions we've answered, right? Because we're kind of answering two questions, or like a question within a question. The specific thing we have to answer is what roles are we meant to play? But that's also kind of nestled generally within like what is the play, right? Otherwise, it seems like we're kind of limited to like, okay, we pick 3 clues, 1 clue for each of our roles.
No, I think we can do more than that. You can get more than if your role could have more clues to it.
I mean, you need a complexity 6. I mean, it's a
Right.
complexity 6, so you need at least 6 clues.
So the best I have right now is a clue I think could very much, like you just said, a clue that could link probably to the role that Doc has been given. It's the a note with the phrase "I know your secret." I think that Doc is given the role of like the cursed man, kind of like a Macbeth kind of thing. Macbeth mixed with, and this is, you know, no surprise, like the Lon Chaney Wolfman, destined to destroy what he wants, destined to hurt what he loves.
May I put a small spin on that?
Have at it.
Going off of the already existing suggestions of the King in Shadows and the King of the Hunt, what if you're meant to play the King of Secrets? And
Oh.
the member of parliament asking, have you seen it, has seen your secret. He's seen you transform. And he keeps asking everyone if you've seen the secret. So, so Doc plays the King of Secrets.
I love that.
Just as a
That's great.
thought.
I think that's awesome. I love it.
So now we need to figure out what Whitmore and Lord Campbell-Hughes are.
Since I have since I have the outfit of the Tragitarian, I think I need something tragic, and then I can use that in the night phase before it all goes horribly wrong. So the ones that look like they're tragic, I could be like the King of Tragedy, and so with that, what do I get? The shadows lengthen and point in a particular direction, heedless of the sun's position, which kind of shows that I'm going down a dark path. Broken rum bottle glistening in light could point that alcoholism is going to, end in my ruin as well. So that's 2 for me. What about Whitmore?
I think it would potentially make sense to combine the line from the play and the handwritten note, to have Whitmore King of the Library. It's probably the weakest of the thoughts, but
You could make it
King of the
lore.
House.
You could be king of the lore.
King of the lore.
Yeah.
King of Words.
That works. King of Words, where at some point he is collected. He is bringing from the library all of these different quotes and plays, quotes from different plays and various notes that can be read out during the play, sort of the lines of the production. And
I figured out how to incorporate the drawing if you haven't already.
Go for it.
Oh,
I was going to say it.
I also.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to tack it on to Victor's King of the Hunt, and like the blocking for the scene would in my head was like a blocking for a gratuitously violent stage fight of like either Victor killing an important character or being slain.
I was even just going to say, like, drawing with blocking for a scene is a scene with all of you, with all of the kings. And, you can break it by not being in the spots that you're supposed to.
Yeah, I was going to say that part, but I thought just us coming on. Yeah.
I do like that.
Okay, so that uses up all 7 of the clues. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
like
6. 8. Wait, yeah, I can count. I really can. 1, 2, 3,
Oh,
4, 8. You have 8. Yes, you have 8 clues. So that gives you a +2. Who wants to roll?
But I'm going to also throw in the woman with the burgundy hood as my special move, where I get to use a mastermind clue to solve a regular clue. I mean, to add to the regular. Let me read it.
Okay.
I don't think you guys are seeming like you're familiar with this one.
No.
Uh,
I mean, this is the first time I've worked with like, explorers in a game. So what page is it on? Or
the
It's on the Hunters tab. It
It's
looks
the
like the
Royal
Grand
Gate.
Gate.
yeah.
okay.
The mastermind is my arch nemesis. Tell the keeper to lower the threat sheet by 1. Mastermind clues can now be used for the answer a question move.
Nice. Okay.
And whenever I use one, I mark on the sheet what threat I use it for.
Okay.
So that gives us a +3.
Okay. All righty. So who
That's
wants
almost
to roll?
foolproof.
Why would
Mm,
you,
Why would you say those words?
Daniel? What the heck?
yeah, Daniel.
What the
As soon as I
heck?
said
Daniel.
that,
Daniel.
something crashed upstairs. I think I have to go check and see what that was. Sorry.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
good. Leave it to someone else to
luck.
roll.
Good luck. Okay.
Well, I mean, you've got to roll anyway because I rolled last time, and even if there isn't a thing making a crashing sound upstairs, Daniel's not allowed after that jinx, that horrible jinx. I'm gonna be busy walking to the gas station backwards to undo the jinx. Be back in 30 minutes.
Sounds
Plus
good.
3.
I am going to at least roll the dice that I've got here, not for the threat, but to see which ones I like, and then I will make that roll.
Oh God.
I'm rolling 66. There's no
Oh
way
my
this counts for
God.
anything.
Oh my God.
All right, 2 dice have spoken.
Just look on his face. Oh my God.
Daniel, you can come back.
All right. So
So with a +3,
yeah.
do we happen to get anything special on an 11?
No.
It's an 11.
So like, great success. I mean, like, no bad complications. It's like it all works out pretty well. What's going to happen for this particular night phase is that we're going to go through the unseen, hit the hunter scene. So this way you guys can try to get an echo of the night, and it'll be relatively smooth sailing. You just have to describe to me, like, how you're breaking this production. So have at it. Okay. Don't get too complicated. Cause I mean, again, like we're going to be hitting time in about 20 minutes. So I want to make sure that, like, we still have room for all the other stuff that has to happen for this. Okay. All right. So we're going to do, I think I marked it off already. Okay. Yeah. So in marked contrast to breaking this production, we're going to go to Saint Asana's Home for the Destitute. That's on line 41. I think it's the second to last, unseen. Saint Asana's Home for the Destitute. It's a modest-sized workhouse with around 300 inmates. The cramped, unsanitary accommodation is segregated by age and gender, with families separated except for babes in arms. The food is meager, the work frequently pointless, and the discipline harsh and arbitrary. After lights out, the house is silent, but for muffled sobs and snatches of whispered conversation. Paint the scene is everyone. Prompt 2. Prompt 2 is going to be Bob. Prompt 3 is going to be Daniel. Prompt 4 is going to be Jeremy. I mean, do you guys need a 5-minute break, or you want to plow on?
What about our we're gonna be, this is gonna be tight, isn't it? Because we didn't do our masks that we were supposed to do.
Oh, yes. Okay. So,
Oh, wow.
well, I mean,
but if we do those masks, then that's gonna put a monkey wrench in it.
True.
well, I mean, like, we don't necessarily have to. I mean, we could do just a leisurely, like, you guys do your masks because there's like 3 of them. Believe me, I know what happens when we try to catch up. It is a miserable experience. So I would rather hear the masks, and then we wait to have our big, our big night phase when we're back next time. And then, maybe Paul will be here, but then he can break in by not being there. That's great. We can totally do that. And then this way we have a leisurely time for stars and wishes and shit. And getting and just looking forward to night phase for next time. And as we've seen, I don't stop at night phase. I mean, we just keep plowing on and then go to the next day phase. So it's no big deal. It's great. All right, so let me hear these masks, because I mean, I got 2 from Doc and then I got 1 from Lord Campbell-Hughes. Remember to read off the prompt first and then go ahead and narrate.
Did you want to do yours back to back? Did you want to do Doc's back to back, or?
I am still figuring out the second one a little bit, so I don't have to do it back to back.
Do you want me to do, you do one and then I do one and you do
Yes.
one? Okay.
I think that makes sense. So the prompt for my first mask is narrate a flashback to your childhood that shows the high level of privilege you were born into. I'm imagining like the camera close up on Doc fighting with a wooden sword with some sort of playmate. We only see Doc though as a child wearing like a frilly play shirt and short pants made of like rich and deep blue fabric that seems both durable and comfortable, but also has a little sheen to it. It's covered in dust and dirt. And we pull out and he's fighting with a playmate that seems a bit more shabbily dressed. And that goes on for a while until kind of off screen steps on a man very easily identified as a butler, right? White gloves and the whole getup. Less personally close than Whitmore, right? This isn't someone managing an individual's affairs. This is a butler for a house, manager. And he kind of wordlessly points after getting Doc's attention, and Doc follows him off. And we kind of cut to Doc in a small carriage, something you'd use to get around, maybe like a big park, being driven by the butler. In the back area is Doc in his fancy little shirt and short pants. And this small carriage is going up like a tremendous pea gravel driveway that looks immaculate, right? Like everything is perfectly placed. Like in any scene of a Batman movie, the first time someone drives up to the front of Wayne Manor, you notice like all the gravel is perfect. There's not great big divots where people have been parked, and there's not a great layer of dust. It's all fresh, deeply colored stone. In this driveway winds through beautiful topiaries, weird animal shapes. Off in the distance, we see a expansive orchard that, as we get closer to the house, we see a kind of small outcropping of that orchard with exotic trees like yuzu and different complex citrus varietals that seem to be struggling against the climate, which is clearly northeastern United States. We approach a tremendous mansion, tremendous Gilded Age mansion. The butler stops the cart, leads the child into the manse, and we see just like a montage of like door open, Doc in, door closed, door open, door closed, like to room after room after room of beautiful, completely different kind of gilded high walls and tremendous high ceilings as different people in white gloves and white aprons are moving to and fro into smaller doors, right, back and forth, until eventually we reach a kind of dark den. And across a deep and well-polished mahogany desk is clearly Doc's father. Doc is led into the room. The butler does a short half bow to the master of the house and leaves. And we like settle into that moment. And the father across the table goes, "Julius, I hate to say it, but your favorite racehorse was hurt this morning, being run out for his exercise out of the stables. He had to be put down, and I wanted to let you know. Now, go back to playing with your friend." And Doc like opens the door, and the butler like nods and begins to lead him back out of the house, back to the cart, back to the far off area.
So as a reminder, my Masks of the Past are not flashbacks of Lord James Campbell-Hughes. Instead, they're flashbacks of this person called the Boy, who is from the village that I spent some time in. And because of the mastermind. This village is in like the realm of the Fey realm. It's not in the realm of humanity. Okay, so this mask is narrate a flashback that shows your friendship with the explorer. What kind of relationship was it? Was it parent and child, teacher and pupil, master and servant? That's the question. Okay, so let me try to get into character. I'm trying to think how I did the boy last time, but I think it was something like thin and maybe reedy. I don't know. In his time in our village of Casarac, during the Beltane festival, Lord James wore a sword made of gray steel and it had a golden handle. As a member of the village blade dancers, I was immediately drawn to this exotic weapon from the realm of man. It was heavy, it was blunt, which I learned was typical of the style of mortal blades. And once he saw ours were made from spider silk and electrum, in that moment, we bonded over the passion for the art of the sword. He taught me much about the brutal techniques of human swordplay. He demonstrated the destruction of such a blunt instrument could inflict upon my enemies. And I will not lie, I was fascinated that such violence could be inflicted upon those who would oppose Casarax and the enemies of the Seelie court and the Unseelie. Lord James taught me and the other sword dancers very much, and we hope to return this favor very, very soon.
Especially because I'm doing these back to back. They're going to be like very visually similar. This one also opens with Doc as a child, young child, in a again fancy but now very dirty set of children's clothes, like short pants and kind of frilly shirt, fighting with wooden swords with a friend who, again, I think it's, especially now that we've revisited it, clearly implied to be like one of the children of the people working at the house. And this is all silent. So fight. I think Doc like is about to be kind of like in the beaten position, right? The kid, the other kid is going to like get him at a point where he's supposed to give up, right? And as that happens, Doc, the child Doc Julius, since we did hear his name earlier, so the child Julius kind of deflects, quits the game, says the game's over. You can see him kind of gesturing to end the game and goes, because I have a new toy, I have a new thing, and like runs off screen, comes back with his little box, and then there are two, like, crude isn't the right word because they're nice, but like they're wooden pistols, but there's not like, they don't turn, there's no multiple pieces, they're just like thicker chunks of wood carved into the rough shapes of pistols, maybe with a bit of lacquer. And the scene that occurs is Julius and this son of one of the manor's employees negotiating a game of cops and robbers. Julius is, of course, insisting on being, the sheriff, right? Sheriff and bandits kind of a situation. And Julius is insisting on being sheriff, and they get into an argument because the other child doesn't want to be, no one wants to be bandits. Right? No one wants to be bandits. They shouldn't have to be bandits. They can play a different game. They don't have to play with the wooden pistols. And of course, neither of those suggestions work for Julius. We have to play with my new fancy toy. This is the best thing to play with. And because it's my toy, you have to be the bandits. I get to be the sheriff because it's my toy and it's my house. And you work for my dad. And it devolves into blows. Not anything truly violent. Like, these kids are maybe 10. So like, I think there's literally a cut of Julius like actually windmilling both of his arms as though that's like a thing that does anything to a person. His eyes shut, just windmilling his arms, red-faced, like an angry inversion of a cherub.
Wow. Dang. Okay. So that is the masks for this session. So I guess the plan And it looks like Whitmore is not going to be with us the next time we play on June 8th. Okay. If you can throw that in the Discord chat just as a reminder for us, that would be great. So that means it's like, okay, so Whitmore would break the production by not fulfilling his role anyway, so that's fine. And then we get Victor back, and then, like, however you guys want to be a hot mess in your particular roles, that's perfectly fine. And we're going to go ahead and alternate with the unseen. I mean, it still may be a punchy one anyway, just because of if you roll, since you rolled an 11, because you did that. I'm not going to kick up a big stink about, like, what you end up doing. It's probably going to be like a straight narration, and your goal for next time will be to listen hard for your echoes of the night by matching up thematically or essentially the unseen with your hunter's scenes. Okay. Because I will have you guys explain how you're breaking this thing. All right. And so, yeah. And already got set up for the unseen. I just changed it out so Paul will be the one doing the fourth prompt instead of Jeremy for next time. All right.
Do we know where the play's going to be?
I mean, it's pretty much like, going to be at Hargrave House again.
So we didn't say what we were actually going to do, but I think what I would like to do is for this big last showing of this play, I think I'm going to throw a party. That way we can get the mastermind there.
Interesting.
And that'll jazz up our that'll just jazz up that night phase.
It will also give Whitmore a very convenient excuse of being stuck in the kitchen, constantly pumping out food.
Oh,
we're fighting goblins. It's going rough. Can we have some more canopies?
Oh my God. Oh God.
Any of those little finger sandwiches, because the next horde's coming and we have to. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Whitmore's sole accomplishment next session will be making sure Lord Campbell-Hughes' party goes off without a hitch.
Wow. Okay.
But I'm also bringing in a professional from the Royal Explorers Club. There's a guy that's his thing. So you would be partnered up with that guy. I think he's a character. I've never actually seen him in play.
Wait, so how many of these boxes are you checking off for this thing? You're doing
That's
a
just
party?
one. That would just be the party's one. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I've got like, oh, wait a minute. Since you've asked, I've got,
because you've already used up
2,
Rear
3.
Admiral, so you had to mark off that box.
Yeah, but they keep. Oh, wait a minute.
And then I forget what the other one was that you used. Oh no, it was because you utilized
I have 4 more. I have 4 more boxes.
Okay, yeah, because you utilize like Lady Winifred, and then you also utilize Sir Anthony Woad, and yeah, and so
But when we solve this threat, then I get it back.
Right, you get it back, so that's fine. You just keep building it up, it's kind of like, just make sure you don't go too far and like I'm too much going on. Okay, so
yeah, this is Sir Stuart Tribling Wales. He's a party man, but I would name any side characters that I want to be there, and the mastermind will show up. And
then Victor's back, and he gets to see the mastermind, which he said, like, yeah, I think he's the only one that hasn't met her. At least that's what he said, that like on the last session. So I'm like, okay, cool. And you'll all be there for the most part, either at the party or at the play, and breaking shit. So great. Is that the plan? I mean, like,
we're not burning. Once again, we're not burning anything.
Right. I mean, again, you don't have to use the items you got from the Rear Admiral until it's absolutely necessary. Because I'm really hoping that that Victor does not blow up the fuck ton of dynamite in the house. That's all I hope for. Okay.
It's crazy that he picked that one.
Of course, somebody's got to. But yeah, I mean, it could be the big climax. Who the hell knows? Okay. All right. So got everything pretty much like, down for next time. A party, a play, and an unseen. in one of the most miserable places in in London. Yay. So let's just go to it. I mean, like, I know it's a little bit early, but I mean, like, I don't want to risk like really making it punchy. So let's just go ahead and do stars and wishes and then look forward to next time. So stars are things that you liked about this session, each other, the role play, gameplay, anything. And then wishes are what you'd like to see for next time and the future.
I really enjoyed the play that we all put together during the answering the question phase. I mean, all four of us truly having that like little bit of input here and there. Like I can imagine so many different elements and scenes that would have been in this play that are going to be there now that we are going to break it. Like the ideas are ripe for how to totally throw this play off course from the book. And whoever wants to claim the idea of it, each of us being a king of something, I must have missed when that was pitched or decided, but that I love especially. The also, I mean, just like the non paint the scene set dressing offered to both the opium den and especially I really like the character building of the like, were they supposed to be servants of Titania that you did, Mads? Both of those situations I really enjoyed. The argument that Lord Campbell-Hughes had, yeah, I like that. The characterization and the presence was really there, and it was evocative in a really nice way. That was also my favorite scene I got to see Lord Campbell-Hughes in. Kind of popped off real intense, and I'm sure we've seen a little bit of that at this point from Lord Campbell-Hughes, but that was very interesting to see. And I really liked the choice of Whitmore going to check out those bodies. I also feel like that was maybe not totally unexpected, but like off rhythm enough to show that we're all seeking to discover more things about our characters in a way that I found very encouraging. As far as wishes, I don't know. I feel like I'm getting a lot of what I want. I guess I definitely want more opportunities to roll, because I've really liked getting to pull those having to pull those masks. Getting to narrate those scenes has been really enjoyable, and really I looked at these when I made Doc and thought of answers to those questions, but having to do them and really lock in the details is making me decide things about Doc that I really like, and I'm having great ideas about how to make those things happen in play.
Whoever wants to go next.
Let's see. I wrote some things down. I have a star for Bob using the Cruel as a Harlot's curse to deal with Doc's quickening high, and in a way to both come off of that and look at his the way that he dealt with the Shoreditch Slugger. So a star there. I also have a star for Whitmore heading off to do some autopsies. Just. And I really like that you were doing it in the daytime, because in the nighttime that just seems like it would be bad. But then you end up spending time with one of the most infamous characters in the Carved from Brindlewood Bay games, the Man in the Sun Mask. He is Jason put him in Ghost of El Paso as Del Sol, and he's also the big man in Public Access. So that character's in three different games, and I have a star for Mads for her version of the Man in the Sun Mask. Trippy, just a trippy guy. But yeah, so the star for Jeremy for having Whitmore off to do business, and then like getting like stuck with this like weird character that is coming from some other. He's not from around here. And then another star for Mads for having those poor beggar women that I keep harassing to like give it back to me. But I have changed my dawn questions, and these are meaner dawn questions. And this is where we see the side of Lord James Campbell-Hughes that might makes right, and for Queen and country, and he's not as they're a little rougher dawn questions. Wishes. I'm just glad to be back. It seems like it's been a while since since we played. So I'm glad to be back. And I've got some things coming up this summer, taking kids here and there. So I may miss it. It just depends on how it lines up. But I'm hoping I don't miss too many.
Yeah, I built this campaign specifically so this way it's like, we'd have 4. The limit, absolute limit for being able to play with the full table, but then, just in case people had to be out, here we go. I mean, the only thing that I will not do is have only 2 players play. While that's very intimate and while that's like a lot of fun, it could also be a pressure cooker for the 2 that are playing, and I really don't want to do that. Plus the capacity for using more masks just grows exponentially, and another reason why I was trying to save my first crew for season 1. You'll see it very soon. It was interesting for this evening, I will say. It's like a lot of back and forth, and like, chasing you guys around and then trying to have you see how this world is built, like, what's in this particular environment that you found yourselves in. So I appreciate the challenge, and you guys, like, rose to whatever circumstances I threw at you, so kudos for that, for definite sure. And yeah, I mean, like, granted, it wasn't a lot of together role play, which I personally want to see. So that's leading into my wish of, like, I want to see, you guys group a little bit more and, like, partner up. Although, by doing it separately, you guys are building a lot of, like, clue space, so that's fine too. But yeah, I mean, like, like a scene with everybody together, or like, something where we see more vulnerable stuff. Shit, I totally forgot to slap people with conditions again. Man, I gotta get better at this. So that's a wish. And yeah, I mean, I was so involved, it's like I couldn't pull out some individual stars. I'm sure once I do a rewatch, then it'll be easier for me to say, oh, that was brilliant, that was pretty cool, that was, like, affecting, what the heck. So yeah, I always apologize for not having, like, some more succinct things to say that are awesome, because it's all awesome, and I appreciate you all.
Stars to, I guess, Mad Sister's cat. Just because. And partially because I think it may have led Doc into, or Bob, you into that fantastic cat clue. And just the thought behind it of it's just one of those little details that you would never notice until it slapped you in the face like that. And it's beautiful. I guess technically I have to change this next note of a star for Jason Cordova for the Man in the Sun mask. It was originally going to go to Mads because that is such an interesting character, and I love what you did with him. I did not realize he was a recurring character, but
he is a recurring character, but I mean, there's different interpretations to him for sure.
Your interpretation was beautiful. And Daniel, pulling out that cache of weapons as we get the vampire, I feel like you've just been waiting for a moment to say, okay, here's some weapons, have fun. Exactly that gesture. As far as wishes, I wish to see Mad Sister's cat. I'm just goofing, Mads. But I'd like to. I cannot wait to watch the recap of you guys all throwing a party to interrupt a play, and I cannot wait to see what happens.
If you don't mind, Mads, I went ahead and picked up a condition.
Oh, okay.
I picked up losing his patience. How's that?
Yes, that, yeah. He yeah, the Lord Campbell-Hughes had an edge on him today, and it was interesting to see for sure. It's like
I'll put that in there.
Need to put him in a bigger pressure cooker for sure. Let me see. I mean, Whitmore is like always so damn composed. It's like, I want to slap a few more conditions on him, but aside from doing something physical to you, I mean, I don't really know what to put.
I get one. I get one from the Quickening. Just FYI.
Oh, that's right.
So-
Because
Mhm.
yep, drained. Yep.
Given that Whitmore passed up the opium pipe, the condition not high on life. Exactly for that laugh.
Okay. Oh my God, you guys are great. Although I should have asked Paul how Victor felt at the end of the seance to find out, like, if he was affected or what have you. And then I could have slapped a condition on him, but that's all right. Retroactively, like, you have this. But all right, cool. So, all right. So we're looking forward to June 8th. I cannot believe we're going to be heading into June. I can't stand it. Oh my God. But anyway, we'll look forward to June. We will still have, of course, King in Shadows until you guys resolve it next time. But then that means that for that next day phase coming right after, I mean, I will be introducing yet another threat. It's just gonna keep pumping through, just so you know. I mean, like the pressure cooker the lid is firmly on. And you guys are just gonna have to, deal with the back and forth. And I cannot wait to see it. This is great. Oh my Lord. I hope you guys had fun tonight, because I did. Just like all the stuff that's happening. Holy shit. And then we'll look forward to Victor coming back next time. And then unfortunately, we'll be missing out on Whitmore, but Whitmore is going to be busy, unfortunately, working on canapes. So, and nobody rolled a 12, so we don't have any more mastermind clues. Thank goodness. I caught up on the one. You guys have a wonderful couple of weeks, if I don't already see you for something else, and then happy gaming. All right. So see you next time. Bye.